nudge, thinking fast and slow, predictably irrational. I think they're just the tip of the iceberg. And through the masters, I'm learning what behavioral science is in depth.
So while I've been running this channel and also completing my master's degree in behavioral and economic science from the University of Warwick, I've had a lot of people approach me with questions about my course. So in this video, I'm going to tell you about my experience of doing a master's in behavioral economics. But because I want to give you guys as much value as possible, you're not only going to hear my point of view, but I also talked to some of my friends who are also doing master's degrees in behavioral economics or some kind of related field. And hopefully together we can give you a really good picture about what it's like to study behavioral economics at a master's level, and also give you some good tips about how to bolster your application to give you the best chance of getting in. Alright, let's begin, shall we? So one of the most common questions I get asked is, do I need an undergraduate degree in psychology or economics in order to get into a master's in behavioral economics? And the answer simply is no. While I did study psychology in undergrad, there are lots of people on the course who didn't have any formal training in psychology or economics before doing the course, and they seem to do just fine. Take my friend Rohit, for example.
I have probably like a slightly different background. I've come from studying my computer science engineering in my undergrad. And this was in India.
Now, if you're still not convinced by that, this is what my course director had to say about the issue.
And we get people from all sorts of different backgrounds. We get some people who have psychology backgrounds. We get people from finance. Last year we had a student who did his undergrad in French and Italian. We've had math, we've had marketing, business, physics, all sorts of different backgrounds.
So if you never did psychology or economics in your undergraduate degree, I wouldn't worry at all. But I will say that if you have some experience with maths or coding, then that will definitely go a long way to helping you get through this master's. In general, most people have a very positive experience of the course. For many people, it's surprising to learn that behavioral science is more than just nudging. Nudging is really just one small aspect of behavioral science, which is an extremely broad subject. And when you discover just how broad behavioral science is as a subject, that is one of the most rewarding aspects of doing a master's degree in it.
Nudge, thinking fast and slow, predictably irrational. I think they're just the tip of the iceberg. And through the masters, I'm learning what behavioral science is in depth.
Yeah, I think it's super interesting and engaging. I was skeptical when I first came as to whether it would kind of teach me more than the basics I already knew, but it's not just like what you would commonly think of behavioral science. There's lots of kind of more basic psychology, like neuroscience, things like that. So yeah, it's very good. I'm learning a lot.
Now, while in general the course is very enjoyable, there will undoubtedly be some modules that you find more challenging than others, and what modules that is basically seems to depend on whatever you were trained in beforehand. For me, coming from a background in psychology, the stuff about nudging, neuroscience, and just general psychological principles comes much more naturally to me. However, prior to starting this master's degree, I basically had no experience in coding, so for me, that's where the most amount of my spare time has been dedicated towards in order to try and improve at that one aspect, because I needed more practice in it. However, for some of my other friends, that part of the degree came much more naturally, and well, these are the modules that they struggled on.
We have a module called Judgment and Decision Making, and you would think, right, doing cognitive and decision sciences wasn't that exactly what you wanted to do. And that is completely true, but I did economics prior, and it's quite a different perspective. So I'm learning a lot of similar things from a very different angle or with a sort of different level of granularity. So that has been challenging in many respects, learning the sort of method of psychology rather than economics.
What module has been the most challenging for you?
Challenging, I think, is clear. I think neuroeconomics for me personally, you have to read a lot of research papers, and they're not the kind of research papers which you could just pick up at any time and just go through. You need to really be focused. There's a lot of context coming from the previous lectures. Now, yeah, I think that's been really hard.
So because these degrees are quite competitive, having something in addition to just a really solid undergrad can definitely give you a competitive advantage when you're trying to get into one of these courses. Now there's a wide variety of things that you can do in addition to your undergraduate degree. In my case, I led a group of students in the Warwick Behavioural Insights team, and as a result of that job, I was in contact with lots of speakers, including Rory Sutherland, as well as giving talks on campus about behavioural economics beforehand. And on top of that, I could talk about lots of different books in behavioural economics that I'd read and that weren't just Nudge or Thinking Fast and Slow. And while I can't say for sure what the specific thing was that got me into the master's course, I'm sure all of these factors contributed. But this isn't the only way to bolster your application. Here are some of the things that my friends did before they signed up for the master's course.
In my second year of study in my undergraduate degree, I was awarded a junior research assistant scholarship, which is basically you work under a professor in a specific field, and then you write up a paper about the research you did. In my case, I ran an experiment to do with the basic stuff, so like loss aversion and prospect theory and whatnot. The paper's not published or anything, you just kind of write it for fun in a way, but they pay you, so it's pretty cool.
I basically knew from when I was in first year that I really wanted to do a master's, and I was really aware of my grades because of that. So I was really focused on what modules can I take now that I think will doing well and will look good on an application. So I focused a lot on really mathematical modules and game theory and stuff like that to try and sort of prove a more general ability that I could then use to apply for like a very specific master's.
So I worked in the federal government of Argentina, applying mostly service design or human-centered design methodologies to improve public policies. But also I had the opportunity to apply some behavioral insights. I bumped into behavioral science because of the BIT, of the Behavioral Insights team. They were facilitating a workshop in Latin America, and they kindly invited me to participate. And then after that, I kind of tried their methodology and their toolkits. I used their toolkits to improve a specific public policy, but it was great.
So I'll leave you with this final piece of advice from my course director, Professor Elliot Ludwig.
If you are serious about behavioral science, there are opportunities to get involved.
That's right. If you look around, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved with the behavioral economics, behavioral science community. You could write a research paper like Ethan, you could design an intervention like All, or you can get involved with your university behavioral insights team. I led my team at the University of Warwick, Zoe's leading her team over at UCL, and if your university doesn't have a behavioral insights team, then screw it, make one. All you need is a small collection of people who are really passionate about behavioral science, and boom, you have a behavioral insights team. And of course, the best way for you to learn about this amazing community of behavioral scientists is to subscribe to my channel. If you want to get involved, just hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bells on, and watch my videos every single week, and I guarantee you will learn so much about this world of behavioral economics. Okay guys, I hope you found this video insightful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Talk to other people. I think that the behavioral science community overall is super generous. And I think that's one of the great things about behavioral science. There's a really great community out there